Hello and welcome to an all-new episode of Anime Brain Freeze. We are your hosts.
I am John.
And I'm CC, and this is the show where we take a look at all the anime series from the previous season we did and didn't watch start to finish. The new anime season is right around the corner, and we look forward to checking out all the new shows. But first, we are going to wrap up our series reviews of Winter Season 2016 with the last two items on our list. Today we are bringing you princes, knights, and a lot of romance, but first John has to throw something in the trash stash.
So, trash stash today is a little show called Haruchika.
What is that about?
It's about these two kids, Haruta and Chika. They're childhood friends. I guess it's implied somewhere in the story that they had been apart for a while and that they had reunited in high school. Okay, all right. And Haruta is part of this woodwind instrument club.
Oh, okay.
Seems an awfully specific type of music club, but okay, all right. And it's on the verge of breaking down and going away because they don't have enough members. So Chika decides, hey, the teacher who's the advisor is pretty cute. I want to join too. And it's like, all right, your motivations are pretty shallow, but it's fine. It's high school. She kind of finds out that her friend ends up basically being a rival for the teacher's affections. Mm-hmm. It should be noted that her friend is a boy.
Oh, okay.
Which I think I commend that, it went that way, because how often do you see that?
Yeah.
In like any story, really.
So I guess the teacher is bisexual. Or is he just gay and she has no chance whatsoever?
I have no idea. I didn't get that far.
Okay.
But
interesting setup, though, I gotta admit.
It is. And the story kind of went on to be like, hey, let's get the literal band together by recruiting more kids to join, and so we can save the club. And it's, like I said, I didn't get more than like 2 episodes in, and I was like, all right, okay, that's fine. I kind of want to see how the dynamic between the teacher Haruta and Chika plays out, but I don't feel that compelled to get through it.
Okay, there's not enough else in the show to or was not enough else in the show to keep you hooked.
Yeah, I mean, I will say this though: it's a PA Works show, and like many of their shows, it's very pretty.
Okay.
Well animated, great background designs. I'd say it looks very appealing, but it just didn't keep me.
Okay. So is the since this is show music, was the music any good?
All right, I guess. Nothing really was super memorable.
Because I remember some of the shows that had other shit going for it, but for example, Kids on the Slope by
Watanabe, right?
Watanabe, right. That was not only an interesting show in terms of there's a romance angle in this, but and it's about music, but also the jazz music, and it was really good. And also the when they showed the people playing the instruments, it was really dynamic and energetic and really fun to look at. So yeah, there was that. So is there any merit in that regard to Haruchika, or?
I feel like if that's what you're looking for, Sound Euphonium is probably more up your alley.
Yeah.
Which I essentially was just coming down from seeing Sound Euphonium, because that show was really good, and I'm really looking forward to the second season.
Yeah, I didn't watch that. A lot of people like that, though. Yeah, so I've heard.
It was... All right, I was a band kid in middle and high school, so that's why I really got on board with it. And I thought I could get on board with Haruchika as well, but I was just kind of like, all right, see ya.
Well, that's a shame.
It was directed by Masakazu Hashimoto, who's done some other stuff, but hasn't really directed much else of note that I could see. Oh, no, he directed, I guess, Soul Eater Not, and one of PA Works' other shows, Tari Tari, which I believe is another like musically themed show that has been on my long list of stuff that I would like to check out at some point. I guess the script was written by Reiko Yoshida, who also wrote all of those Aria series, like Aria the animation, the one about like the gondola driver, which again suffered from the same thing for me, where it just couldn't stay interesting to keep my attention. But I know people love Aria, so I'm not gonna just slam it immediately. So I mean, the stars just didn't quite align with this show.
So, if you could like change something about the show, what would you have what would you have improved to, I don't know, make it more interesting or make you stay with it? Maybe what would have been the, I don't know, the angle that would have kept you engaged?
Maybe it's not fair to say since I only got as far as I did, but maybe the pacing. But I feel like there's a lot of shows nowadays that suffer from really weird and awkward pacing where they really only get to the crux of their stories like way too late, like way later than they should.
Yeah, we're gonna get to that next season, I promise you. Little title called Bungo Stray Dogs.
Woof. Like last season with PSO2, the animation, if they had gotten, if they had gotten to their key plot element a lot sooner, it could have been a much more interesting show. But it wasn't. Oops.
Yeah, and pacing is like, I don't know if it's underestimated in terms of its importance, but for a lot of shows, like that's, for me, that's like the make or break, because if it doesn't get to a certain point it's trying to make in the first 3 episodes, I often, depending on what kind of show it is, like fall just off. And it seems like this was the case for you here. And for shonen action shows, I'm more lenient, too lenient probably, because I'm still watching One Piece. Even that show is like, just especially in terms of pacing, an incredible mess.
I feel like with shows like that, though, they have the longer runtime and more of the ability to build up to that. Whereas with a show that's 13 episodes, you got to get to the point.
Yeah, they usually have the benefit that in the beginning, when they start the longer running shonen shows anyway, they have enough manga material to like go on. So usually the pacing in the beginning is really strong, and then it drops off later on. And then you have watched so much that you're like, well, I guess I gotta stay with this because I've already watched so many episodes. It's like Stockholm syndrome in a way. So,
oh yeah.
But with the shorter shows, and that they're only gonna run for a short while, and then if they're already like, 2 episodes, to be fair, like you said, might have been like maybe not enough episodes given to the show to develop, but still, like if let's say if they don't get to a certain point after like maybe 6 episodes, like half of the show, then you can already say, well, okay, how much more time am I going to invest to this? Or I got other shows to watch that are like, that already interest me more. So I can understand why you dropped off, especially if you like watched something that like plays in the same ballpark, but was already incredibly inherently more engaging from the beginning, which was Sound Euphonium, as it sounds.
Yeah. I don't know. Like I said, maybe I just didn't give it a fair shake, but it just couldn't grab me the way I was hoping.
It's okay, man. Sometimes sparks don't fly. Speaking of sparks flying, let's get to our actual review. So, the show we're reviewing today, the last show for this season, is Snow White with the Red Hair, or Akagami no Shira Yukihime. And if, after hearing the title, you expect like kind of a loose but semi-faithful adaptation of a classic story material, Snow White, Grimm story, which we've had in the past. A most recent example may be Romeo x Juliet or Gankutsuo. This is not that. This has at least as far as I can tell, this is very little to do with the Snow White fairy tale that most of you might know, be familiar with from the Disney movie and such. There is no evil stepmother, and there are no dwarves, but we have a prince and a poisoned apple. So there's that. And let's do a short story synopsis here for so that you know what we're actually talking about. So the main character, Shiryuki, is a young girl making a living as a herbalist, which means she makes medicine from plants and herbs, I guess. And she's living in the kingdom of Tanbarun. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, right. I never know if it's Tanbarun or Tanburn, the way the Japanese pronounce it. So, yeah.
I mean, the translation says so. It said Tanbarun, so
Okay. Okay, yeah, and one of her main characteristics, as shallow as that sounds, is her beautiful red hair, which seems to be very rare in this world. Like, people are always like surprised when they see her red hair. And due to her unusual hair color, Shiryuki was raised by her grandparents, who are dead now, apparently, to always be careful of showing her hair in in unfamiliar surroundings, because it might, I don't know, alienate people or something. And well, yeah, but she was raised by her grandparents, grew to be an independent young woman, like just doing her work. And however, her hair gets her noticed by Prince Raj, or Raji, I'm not sure, but I think Raj, who orders her. He just waltzes into her fucking herbalist shop and orders her to become his concubine, because he has taken a liking to her unusual hair and everything. She doesn't care about her herself, but just, oh, you are a beautiful girl with red hair, and I'm gonna make you mine. But Shiriki won't have any of that.
Do you blame her?
No, not at all. So she's outright refusing his orders, and then cuts her hair and runs away. Just escapes from his clutches, and runs to the neighboring kingdom of Clarine, or Clarines, I think is how they pronounce it. And on her way there, she meets a young prince named Zen and befriends him into his two aides, his bodyguards, Kiki and Mitsuhide, right. And they're great. Like, this is a great trio. They've been kind of friends from childhood. At least Mitsuhide and Zen have been, and Kiki got into that later. And they're a great pairing together. And when Zen is poisoned by an apple, which was gifted to Shiryuki by Prince Raj, I don't think, was he really trying to kill her, or was he trying to I don't know, to get unconscious and collect her, or was he just embarrassed by her running away and trying to punish her? I don't remember. It's been a while since the first episode. But
it seemed like it could have been a combination of any of those things, as far as I recall.
Yeah, but anyway, Shiryuki doesn't eat the apple. Zen does, knowing it's poisoned, apparently, because he could smell it or something, or he has built up, I think he's built up a resistance to poison from his childhood on. He eats the apple, gets poisoned, and Shiryuki successfully obtains the antidote and heals Zen. And yeah, the four of them become friends. And she decides to accompany them to Clarines. And shortly after that, Shiryuki decides to become a court herbalist, at the court of Prince Zen, and pass an exam for that. She's basically staying at the palace and training to become part of the court as a trained pharmacist and herbalist. So yeah, basically most of the show is her getting around in court and passing several obstacles, because some people are not content with her being there, especially because of her growing romantic relation to Zen. And, she's a common girl and he's a prince, and they're not supposed to, be together and everything. So, yeah. So she has to overcome that mostly, and also, become what she wants to become, a court herbalist. And, that's basically the story. So the series is based on a shoujo manga by Sorata Akiduki, or Akizuki, depending on how you look at the kanji, I guess. Which is the manga is still running, and it is her only work. So I'm expecting since the story is not quite finished at the end of this season, it's open-ended, we're gonna get more of it, maybe? Although it says the end at the end, so...
I mean, I found conflicting reports as to whether or not it had ended or continued, so I'm not sure either.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the wiki page says it's still running.
The wiki page says it's still running. Anime News Network says it's not.
Okay. Well, we'll see then, I guess. But the I guess the series ends on a still it's open-ended, but it still ends on a kind of closing note for now for this chapter. So I guess we could it would be okay to finish with that, even if we don't get anything more. Yeah, the show itself is produced by Studio Bones. Probably don't need anything more to that because you know what's up. It's a beautiful show. Bones just does great work, even if it's not like their top show for a season. And it just looks it's a beautiful show. Very vibrant colors, pretty character designs. There are not that many action scenes in the show, but when they come up, they look great. Especially the sword fights and the hand-to-hand combat, very fluent, like a lot of camera movement, really good.
Which is kind of great because that's really, where the major effort needs to go in because everything else is so very calm and easy going.
Yeah. Yeah, just in terms of pure animation, yeah, that's where where most of the budget should maybe go. But even the quieter scenes, like you feel like there's a lot of polish in those.
Yeah.
And that's nice. Like they really know where to put where to put the shine, and they did. The show is directed by Masahiro Ando, who is quite a veteran if you look at his track record. He's worked on a lot of Bone stuffs, like example storyboards for Wolf's Rain, Full Metal Alchemist, Raw Zephon, and he has worked on the storyboard for Haikyuu. He did key animation for little small projects like Ghost in the Shell and Neon Genesis Evangelion. And he directed Sword of the Stranger, one of the best action anime that I've ever seen. Really like that one, especially the fight scenes in that movie. It's really great. So good stuff. Definitely got the chops, and he shows it. Like I said, the action scenes in that show are great, and everything else too. So yeah, good job. And story and part of the script are by Deko Akao. Did the same for Noragami, one of my favorite shows of past seasons. Also responsible for the series composition of Flying Witch, if I'm not mistaken. On the other side of the spectrum, he did the script and series composition for the Blaze Blue anime.
Oh no!
So he has not only done good stuff, but this is one of the good ones. This is definitely one of the good ones. Like Snow White, yeah, definitely has a neat script. Although it's always if it's got its original source in manga, I don't know. It's more of adapting that so that it flows well off the screen, I guess. And that works in the show too. Like
yeah,
they did a good job on that. So. More staff would be music by Michiyo Oshima, which the most prominent work would be her soundtrack for the old Full Metal Alchemist TV show, which was really good. So yeah, there's that. And anything else didn't really ring a bell or wasn't that prominent. So yeah, but yeah, Full Metal Alchemist. And yeah.
What are you talking about? She also did the music for Little Witch Academia.
Oh, I haven't watched that, so maybe that's why I skipped over it.
Why not?
Because I'm a bad person?
You got 2 movies and a TV series coming up. Get on it!
Okay. Wait, is there only that Anime Mirai thing of that, or...?
Well, there was that, and then there was the Kickstarter movie that they did, and then a certain other show from this season that we're going to talk about teased the upcoming TV series.
All right. Good. I'm going to get on that. I promise. Let's talk about the show itself. This is a premiere because it's an anime romance story that I liked. Mostly because of the characters, but also in general, I thought it was pulled off nicely. I usually hate romance and love plots in anime. Because in most of the shows I've watched, they are done pretty poorly.
And then I watched too many of them, so
But you can elaborate on that. But yeah, usually since I'm the shonen action guy, the romance in those are usually underdeveloped, and it comes down to kind of a half-assed version of will they, won't they, and that feels mostly like an afterthought more than anything. Or the guy is an idiot and the girl is a tsundere who yells at him and punches him in the face every time she thinks he's being lewd or something. And then that is what most of the jokes revolve around. Because, they're like a bickering married couple, you see? And,
no, but don't you love your tired tropes?
oh, I
Mm.
love him. And, she's physically abusing him even though he didn't do anything. And haha, isn't this funny? Yeah, it's horrible. It's annoying and boring, and most of the time that status quo doesn't even really get resolved by the end of the show. And if it does, it often has some kind of Deus Ex Machina feeling to it. So, yeah, I kind of hate it. I really do. And actually, right now, I'm watching one of the shows that has the worst form of that, which is Twin Star Exorcist. And I don't know why I'm still watching that show. It's like the whole setup of the show is they have to become a married couple, and they have to live under one roof, and constantly is those kind of jokes in every episode. Why am I watching this? I have no idea. I'm probably going to tell you next season or whenever that show wraps up. Apparently, it's getting 50 episodes, and I'm going to kill myself. Anyway, Shiori Kohime is not that.
It certainly feels a lot more organic in this show than like pretty much anything else.
Yeah, the romance is one of the main focuses. It's not an afterthought, and it's totally straightforward. Shiriko falls in love with Zen, and that's it. Like, there's no, maybe someone else. The rest of the show is growing closer, is them growing closer and deepening their relationship. So it doesn't feel like this has been thrown in just because that trope or that has to be in there. Like, okay, this is part of the story. This is important, and them, becoming better friends, becoming lovers, and, also becoming stronger individuals by themselves or with the help of each other. It's all intertwined, and it's really, really well put together. Even, of course, you have seen this stuff before because it's classic romance stuff. It's basically Disney movie stuff to an extent. So there you have the parallel to the other Snow White material, I guess. There are some side characters that I assume would be romance options in, for example, a visual novel. Like, there's a different romance path for that character and that character. But even though the show, sometimes seems to trying to maybe set up a love triangle, it never pulls the trigger on that. For now, if the manga is still running, that situation might already have changed, but I'm not sure of that. And in the show, it doesn't. It's straightforward. It's those two and, all the people around them. That's it. So, and if that is not enough for you, maybe you want to stay clear. But yeah, it's not just that, but just in terms of the romance, it's those two. It's Zen and Shiryuki. And the romance itself between them is, like I already said, is incredibly sweet and Disney princess-ish. Every time they hug or kiss, the orchestral score swells in the background, and there are glistening lights and flower petals surrounding them, stuff like that. It's kind of cheesy, but I don't know. I found it to be welcome in that kind of show. I don't know about you. What did you like?
Yeah.
Did you like how they framed that?
Yeah, it was at some points I guess you could say silly, but I don't feel like it detracted from their relationship.
The other part of that anime is mostly Shiryuki facing several trials to become a court herbalist and getting accepted by the higher ups in Clarinus noble society, like Zen's brother, who is the crown prince, the first prince, and who's to become king, and one of the dukes. I think they are not like immediately enthralled with her appearance on court and Zen's relationship to her and everything, and so she has to overcome. She has to convince those people to be to accept her to accept her being with Zen in a way. And it's also about Zen becoming a responsible prince, because he has something to live up to. He's not, in direct line to become a king, to become the king yet, but still he has political responsibilities. He has to keep appearances, and the show takes a lot of effort showing him to do paperwork, like really, really, really a lot of that stuff. And also he's kind of flawed in a way that he can get very emotional, especially when it comes to Shirayuki, and let his emotions get the better of him. And it's also of him becoming sometimes putting other things first and not his own interests, or that of his partner. So there you go. It's about that too. And like I said, most of the conflicts don't revolve around battles or action scenes. There is an arc in the second season that ups the stakes a bit in that regard, which is also probably the only time that Shirayuki is confined to the classic damsel in distress role, because otherwise the show kind of avoids that.
Yeah, I think that's commendable on their part, because you could have easily gone, with that, but it's really tired, and I don't think many people really appreciate that anymore.
Yeah. It's I guess it's maybe also one of the tropes of fairy tale shoujo stuff, so it had to be in there at that point, because Zen is this gallant, chivalrous prince who at some point just has to rescue her from the fangs of evildoers, or I guess it couldn't just completely do without it. Otherwise, the show goes out of its way to show that Shirayuki is a very strong-willed, very clever girl who can improvise on the spot, and get out of difficult situations on her own. Like, there are a lot of episodes that show off that characteristic of her, and that's really good. But yeah, getting back to the conflicts, mostly they, except for maybe that arc in the second season, those conflicts get resolved rather quickly, and mostly in the course of one episode. It's like the beginning of the episode, here's that problem, and Shirayuki has to kind of solve it, or Zen has to solve it. And by the end, oh, okay, now we were fine again. Stuff like Shirayuki trying to pass an exam, or, like I said, facing off with the older brother of Zen, or Lord Haruka, who said, other noble who's not content with her being, at least in the beginning. She overcomes most of those hurdles by being a hardworking, strong-willed person who is really nice to everyone, and just by her interaction makes them better people. I think the prime example for that being Raj, and we can also go directly into characters if you're okay with that.
Sure.
Because he was one of my favorite characters. He starts off as this really slimy little shithead prince who is trying to make Shirayuki his concubine, and not taking her feelings into consideration whatsoever. He is a prince. The common people have to do what he says and everything. And that could have been that, but he appears a bit later in the show again, and runs into Shirayuki as being a little shit again, but also scared, and he's kind of a tool for a different person too. But not going into too much spoilers, but Shirayuki kind of sets his head straight, and from that point on, he's kind of developing into a different person. And I just found his arc to be great, because he's funny. Just the way he's how slimy he is in the beginning, and later on he starts to becoming a better person, but he still retains some of his of him being irritated way too early, way too easily, and being flabbergasted because of several situations, and surprised, and reacting in a fun way.
Yeah, it's nice that he keeps those sillier personality quirks, but you get to see him change for the better.
Yeah, exactly, and that's neat. He's probably one of the he's a well-developed character, and I didn't expect that from him seeing him in the first episode and how he acts. He's just the asshole antagonist, and he's gonna stay that way. And that's happened for a lot of characters. I always expected for the big bad to come around in the show. Okay, here is the major asshole who's trying to throw a wrench in every plan, and maybe, I don't know, tries to kill Zen or anything, or tries to Shirayuki to get out. But Shirayuki basically through her sheer personality, to her awesome personality, like turns pretty much all of those people who might have been a villain in another show, she turns them around and makes them a better person, or believe in her, or her in relation to Zen and everything. So yeah, the show surprised me in that regard, because I really penned either Raj or Prince Zen's brother. I forgot his name.
Izana.
Yeah, Prince Izana, Zen's brother, to be the villain of the show, especially because of Izana's voice actor and everything, and the roles he's played in the past, maybe, and the way he acts when we meet him. But he also, after a while, you see under his under this layer, this first appearance, and you see, oh, he's actually a good guy, and he's just worried about what kind of prince his brother might become. And yeah, that's super cool. Like the show gives you a lot of faceted characters, and those really polish up the maybe what would have maybe been otherwise a pretty tried and boring romance story. Because if it's been just that, and not the characters being as engaging and faceted as they are, that could have been easily a really boring anime. But it wasn't. So
definitely, I think one of the large, and we've very much touched on it with this conversation, right? But one of the large themes throughout the show is change, because there are people that change for the better, change their minds, and change and overcoming adversity, because Shirayuki is obviously not of noble birth, and she's just trying to find her place in their world where she can help everyone out, be friendly, win over Zen and all of that.
And we learn throughout both seasons. We just learn always interesting more new stuff about most of the characters, like either if it's a background, if it's the background of a relation between two side characters, or it's a flashback to Zan's youth or something like that. There are always like episodes with interesting new tidbits. You get to know about certain characters and why they act the way they do, and yeah, that's pretty great. There's also some neat amounts of comedy, especially when the trio, I'd say, but they, later they become basically five. A trio of five. That doesn't make any sense. But yeah, Obi gets added to the mix. He's also fantastic. And he would be one of the romance options if this was a visual novel. Definitely.
Yeah, probably.
There are a lot of scenes where, like, he catches Shirayuki sometimes and gives her glances and everything. They stay friends, but only friends. But at certain points, I got the feeling, the show is trying to make this a love triangle between Obi and Zen and Shirayuki, and her being torn between two because they develop feeling. But that never happens. I know that sounds like a spoiler, but I already gave away that it's just Shirayuki and Zen until the end, and don't even entertain that thought. Other romances are not gonna happen in the show. Well, there's Mitsuhide and Kiki, I guess, but that's more of like this. Well, she has this gruff demeanor, and that's not really going anywhere. They're also kind of staying friends, even though it's alluded to that they might be happening something more. But yeah, Obi is a great character too. He's kind of the ninja of the group, and every time those five characters are together, Mitsuhide, Kiki, Obi, and Zen, and Shirayuki, once those five are together, and after they've all got to know each other a bit and they interact with it's really fun, like, because they're really fun together. Always teasing Zen, and Mitsuhide gets teased by Kiki, and Shirayuki is amused by all of that. Like, there's a episode in the second season where they all sit in a restaurant together and eat, and yeah, it's it's pretty neat. I like those characters together. They all work really well together.
Yeah, the dynamic between all five of them is pretty great.
Yeah, Shirayuki is, like I said, the strong-willed girl, and it's really interesting to see her path. I don't know, just in terms of developing, it's pretty straightforward because you know what path she is trying to walk, and it's mostly her overcoming these obstacles, but she doesn't really change in where she wants to go. It's difficult for her to get there because of circumstances.
Yeah,
But
but
it's
she knows where she wants to get
yeah,
to.
she has a goal set in mind after the first episode, and she's like following that goal. And even though there are some obstacles here and there, she's willing to overcome them. And yeah, and I guess the same could be said for Zen. He's kind of a perfect prince in his demeanor, at least towards Shirayuki. But like I said, his emotions sometimes get the better of him, and I don't know. He just, he has this responsibility that he's trying to live up to, and that's mostly what his arc is. And maybe just in terms of, I don't know, his the way he acts around the show most of the time he might be too much of a Gary Stu for some people because he doesn't make a lot of mistakes. I guess he doesn't really have much flaws. And he's like a perfect fighter and everything, or a really good fighter, and he's always gallant to Shirayuki. He never like gets angry at her or something. I guess that can be contributed to the fact that this is like a soft shoujo romance, and there's really no I don't know, there's no real conflict between those two. Like those two just they see each other, they fall in love, and every time they are around each other they get red heads and and blood, but they blush and everything, and yeah.
But yeah, they, like I said earlier, they at least build toward that, a bit more organically than other shows.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like it's kind of a slow pace. It's not like, oh, you see those two love each other, but it's not like immediately, okay, now we're getting married and that's that. No, the show takes its sweet time to like, oh, the first time they touch hands and the first time they kiss. It really takes a long time to get there, and telling each other their feelings and what it means to them to be with each other, and are you okay with me being the person that I am and stuff. So that gets kind of discussed a lot, and the show takes the time to be very detailed about that, and I think that's a good thing. You would think that the pacing would suffer from that, but there's enough other stuff happening in the show aside from that makes that work.
Yeah, I mean, it's very much in contrast to an older show, Mysterious Girlfriend X.
Okay.
Where they kind of...
Is that the saliva show?
We're going to put that aside. Where they kind of get the establishment of the romance, like, done within, like, the first 2 episodes, and it's like, okay, so where's the conflict for the rest of the show?
Yeah.
So with something like Akagami no Shirayuki Hime, I feel like, the way they built toward it in the opposite manner works a lot better for it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, agreed.
We got a pretty big cast of well-known voice actors and actresses on this show, which is pretty great. We got one of my favorites, Saori Hayami, as Shirayuki.
Mm-hmm.
She's been in about a billion different things. We've discussed her before, I believe.
Yeah, the problem with me is me remembering names. It just only begins since we started doing this. Because it has only begun because I'm really bad at remembering names, and only now that we have like discussed several shows and people working on it, I slowly start to remember it. So feel free to refresh my memory. Who has she voiced before?
She was Shinoa in Seraph of the End.
Oh, okay, right. Oh yeah, fantastic work in that show. Wait, she's Shirayuki. I definitely did not recognize her. That's a completely different kind of character. So I did not associate her.
Obviously, because Shinoa is very snarky.
Yeah,
and Shirayuki is not.
Also, really a different kind of voice, if I'm not mistaken. Like really trying to put a different tone to it, not just in terms of dialogue and how it's delivered, but also like really in tone, different octave, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay.
Zen was voiced by Ryota Osaka. He was Keiji in Haikyuu.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay.
That brings up any
it
bells
does.
for you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Raji was voiced by the ever-prolific Jun Fukuyama, who you better know as Lelouch Lamperouge.
Oh, shit. Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's why it sounded familiar. All right.
And then Obi was voiced by another one of my favorites, Nobuhiko Okamoto, who is also Accelerator and Index.
Yeah, he was very familiar. I just couldn't place him. But
And I've said this about Okamoto before, but I like that he has a lot of range. Like, he goes from being very Obi a lot of times, very, quiet and subdued, and, but he can kind of flip that around and just be, very intense. I can't really say it because we can't discuss this show yet since it just finished, but he was in another show this past season where he was basically an angry accelerator all the time.
okay.
So, but yeah, again, he has range, and I really like him a lot.
Yeah.
Some other big names on here. I'm just going to roll down the ones that I know so we can, get through this.
Mm-hmm.
We got Akira Ishida, Chiwa Saito, Kaori Nazuka, Shintaro Asanuma, and just a whole long list of cavalcade of well-known people. Holy hell, Nana Mizuki was apparently in one episode. I didn't even realize that. Wow. So yeah.
Put in a lot of talent.
We got a lot of big talent in this show, and it definitely helps it out a lot.
Oh yeah, it shows. There are some really small but strong emotional scenes in that episode, in that show, and of course the bigger ones, the giant glaring ones between Shiyuki and Zen. And yeah, those all work really well. The characters, I never felt like, oh, this was a poor deliverance or half-assed or something, which, to be fair, rarely happens in anime in general. But it felt like they were giving it their all, and you could feel like it built up a lot of chemistry between the characters. And good stuff, definitely.
Most definitely.
Enjoyed it. So I think we're coming to the end here. So closing words. If you are in the mood for an adorably sweet love story with strong sympathetic characters, you should give this a chance. For people who are like me, who have had bad experience with anime romance stuff, don't be afraid to check it out, because like I said, I usually hate that shit, and I really, really like the romance in the show. I liked that being the setup, and I liked how it was developed, and the characters made it for me. So yeah, definitely don't be afraid to check out the show. Give it 3 episodes or something to pull you in, even though I was pulled in after the first 2. And yeah, I don't know about you, John. I guess you felt the same way?
Oh yeah, I loved the characters and the setting as well, just because I don't remember a very well written romance anime set in a medieval, not high fantasy setting.
No, we don't get any monsters. We get some weird birds, but we don't get any dragons or stuff like that. So
yeah, but yeah, good show, great show. Would recommend.
If the manga is still running, I hope we'll get a 3rd season. But it said Finn, or the end. I don't remember. I think Finn at the end of the 2nd season. So I guess that's closed off. But yeah, great little show. Enjoyed it quite a lot, and I can only recommend it.
Yeah.
And that is a wrap on the 10th episode of Anime Brain Freeze. All the music in our show is from the Double Dragon Neon soundtrack by the amazing Jake Kaufman. Please go to vrrt.bandcamp.com and check out his awesome work. You can find us on YouTube, Twitter, iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and animebrainfreeze.com. Leave us a comment anywhere you like, or send us an email to animebrainfreeze@gmail.com. Thanks for tuning in. We hope you had a good time, and please join us again on our next show. Adios.
Take it easy.